Mm,
Yeah, just another thing to add to it, right?
yeah, exactly, man. At this stage, yeah. Oh, there it is.
Hey, we're live. I see us.
Nice.
All right, Todd. So, how's your evening going?
Good, good. Getting the drift boat ready. Gonna go with the amount of steel that are in the river, gonna go give it a chance, give it a shot.
Yeah, it seems like there's a ton of fish in there. Have you been out lately at all?
I went out with my nephew, with Nate, but we went after salmon. He's old enough now to where he can back bounce all on his own. And the first one he caught, I think he was 7, and Bo got in the front of my boat to help him out. But now he's
Nice.
big enough to do it all on his own, and so we targeted salmon on purpose just because he's got a number of steelhead. So,
Nice. That's awesome.
but yeah, but we did get one steelhead. He caught it, and then I got a jack. I missed. Well, I didn't miss any. The only person that loses a fish in a guide boat is the guide, right?
Oh, for sure.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, then I didn't miss any. So, but no, it's been really good. Salmon, they're salmon. A little bit frustrating at times,
Right.
boiling all over. But it's that if they're rolling, they're there, and if they're rolling, they're not biting. And so it was just that day, right?
Right.
So
Yeah, I haven't been out much lately. Does it seem like there's still a bunch of salmon in the river or kind of in between springers and fall fish right now?
no, I think there's still a number. I mean, seeing a lot of them. They're just, but I think this hot weather has made it. I don't know. That's I mean, that's I can back bounce very well.
Right.
Talon, Nate's a great instructor. Talon picked it right up, went right to work, had a couple takes, but you know, couldn't capitalize. It's just tough fishing. I think they're moving at night, and
Gotcha.
then it's just so hot that I don't know. Something's got them a little bit buttoned up.
Okay.
So we're gonna um, try some different things. Mix it up.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
get out
Well,
to.
yeah. How'd let everybody know how your Odell season went? Did you end up running into that state record? Did you find him at all?
No, I never seen him on my graph this year that I know of. Um, man, I think it's the first year in 3 years that I hadn't seen him.
Gotcha.
And there was some. We got more bigger fish this year than we ever have. Nate went up there and just absolutely slaughtered it. I mean, that guy is just man. It just seemed like every time he was stopping, he was catching big fish. I think he boated two at two or three right at 30 pounds, and he got one just over or something like that. He took four of the top 5 positions. And so I little, I mean, my hat's off to him. I didn't lay up, I mean, we all have a pretty healthy competition going up there, and he's just on fire. I mean,
Right.
he did really, really well. And so, my hat's off to him. I give him a big hug, and at the end of the season, and I'm gunning for him next year.
That's awesome.
We're already looking into that next year. So, big, healthy fish. There's a little bit fewer Mackinaw up there now than what we've seen in the past. Which at the beginning sounds really, really bad, but for the ecosystem and the resource in general as a whole, I think it's probably the healthiest I've ever seen it, as far as the number of kokanee and the size of kokanee as well. The average kokanee this year was 12 to 14 inches.
It's not bad.
I have fished up there for 8 or 9 years, something like that, and I have never seen that size of kokanee at the beginning of the season. I mean, there's a bunch of 6 to 10 inches,
Right.
and so I think the numbers are good. As far as the population of both keeping each other in check, there's enough food for everybody now. which hasn't been the case. That's why you can have, your daily limit of kokanee is 30, is
Right.
because, they're trying to get the numbers down. And I think we're finally there. And so, like I told everybody up there, I'd rather catch 10 inches. I mean, we got some that were 16 to 18 inches up there. I mean, Odell will have some 20-inch kokanee come August.
Okay.
And well, I guess it's August. I mean, here we are.
Right.
And so that's exciting. It's contrary to belief, numbers, it has to balance. There's, that predator and prey thing.
Yeah.
I caught a couple 15-pounders this year that I would have lost money in. I mean, they fought like a 30-pounder in the past, but the kokanee are bigger, better, stronger. And so the Mackinaw have to get bigger, better, stronger.
Right.
And we're really seeing that, the condition of the fish that we were catching across the hole. So, we were really concerned. That's why this year we went to 0 retention, absolutely everything catch and release. And I'm glad we did that, because it needs it, it needs, we put too much pressure on. I mean, it just, we would, like we've always talked, we would decimate that resource. In 2 years with what we do, you would have no chance of catching a trophy lake trout in that.
Gotcha.
And I've been seeing some articles, a couple of the guys that I follow on social media and whatnot, they're even Flaming Gorge. They have what they call a pup tournament, where they encourage people to keep those under 20. I think in one of the states, Utah or Wyoming, I'm not real sure, don't quote me on any of this. It was just a pretty quick read. Anything under 24 inches, they're allowed 12 lake trout a day.
Okay.
And it's catch and release only on anything over 24 inches, because, they want that trophy lake trout fishery, but they know that the numbers have to be in balance. So it's, they do a couple tournaments a year of pretty big payouts to get people to kill those 24 and under fish, to keep the balance, because they say those 24 inches will spawn as well.
Okay.
And so, we're used to fish being on a couple year life cycle before they spawn. And so, I guess they would be as well. 24 inches, they grow probably 2 to 3 years, 5 years up to 30 inches. And so I guess the timeline's about right, but they figured out that they have to get some of those out of the resource.
Yeah.
And
It makes
so,
a lot of sense.
I mean, you can't kill all your little ones, but everything has a balance,
Right.
you just, and the only way to get that balance outside of us, people that go up there and fish every day, for 3 months a season, the only other way they can get that data is to sink a gill net and do that study. Well, that's a lot of stress on a fish.
Yeah.
And so it's, it's important that we all keep very good records. We talked to a lot of people about why it's so important to let those 30 plus inchers go, got a little bit of heat this year.
From releasing the big fish?
No, just a couple comments here and there of, I wish people would just reach out and give us the benefit of the doubt, not a knee-jerk reaction of what they think we're doing. And, instead of just blowing their rhetoric online and all of that, give us an opportunity to come talk to us and, grow up. I'm just so sick and tired, that's my normal complaint, right? I'm just so sick and tired of people that don't fish, sit behind their keyboard telling us how we're hurting the resource. And I guarantee you, me, Nate, Cody, Alex, there's nobody that goes to greater lengths to protect that fish than us. And so, it's just like, man, we're year 4. We're not the first or only guys to work up there, but for whatever reason, we got a target on our back, and people got a little bit rude this year, and it's just like, man, we can all fish together. You don't need
Right.
to make it unsafe for me and my clients.
Right.
And that's where I start drawing the line is when, because I can't trust that you see me. Everybody says, oh, well, you got to hold your line. No, we'll bow out every time. We don't have a problem bowing out every time. And we do that because our clients, it's not us fishing with our buddies. Our clients rely on us to keep them safe all day long. And I can't rely on somebody else seeing. You look at that. I just seen another post because of the buoy 10 opener, that boat, that sea swirl or whatever it was that ran up on the back of that aluminum boat.
That's a great video. It's scary if you were in that position, but
oh my God. And so that's the only thing that keeps replaying in my mind is I cannot guarantee that you see me. And so that's why, we always bow out, and it's just, people think that they're going to troll their gear underneath our boats and catch our fish. And as well as I do, you're not. I mean, we're fishing two totally different fish. Right. They're fishing actively feeding fish. We're fishing digesting fish. Those fish that we catch, they don't want to bite. I mean, it takes, and this year you had to work them a long time. Well, we didn't get you up there this year, but last year, you got to see how long some of those fish that we fish for, you got to work for 15 minutes, sometimes 20 minutes before they fire.
Right.
Other times, you just drop in on that fish and he's going to chase it. You're going to get 40, 60 feet from him. He's going to dart up on your screen and attack it. Right. But we really had to fish for him this year. Gotcha. Absolutely. And I tell you, there wasn't too many days that Nate got beat. The guy it was amazing. My hat's off to him. It's next year. It's he's got a pretty big target on his back for next year.
Well, it's good.
And so
it's good for the teacher to be outfished, probably.
It is. It makes me feel good. So
yeah.
Well, it makes me feel good that everything that because we don't have secret. We tell each other exactly what we're using. Where we're using it. We don't keep secrets from each other. And he just outperformed us. Just absolutely. And so, I don't believe in luck. Luck is where preparation meets opportunity. You never hear me say this luck. He did the work. After work, he went back out on the lake, and got to fish his wife and his kids. And, I think he just was able to put it together in a way that I've never boated more than 1 30-pounder in a season. And he didn't do it once. He did it 3 times.
Right.
And so, no, it made me feel good. It made me feel good that he wasn't satisfied doing what I've done. That he wanted, to be satisfied. He wanted to take what I've done and go way past it. And he did that. And so that's, like I said, it made me feel very good. He's an important part of the team. And Alex was right there neck and neck. But, yeah, Nate did it, man. He got
Sounds like he smoked all you guys. At least he works for you and not against you.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that is the one good thing is, he's on our team, right? And so Josh's fish, that was the second trip of the season when he caught that fish. And Josh, I think he's 6'7", something like him. He's the one that's in the boat with him and Paul, and I always post a picture of I'm the little guy in the boat, which is pretty rare,
Right.
And Josh says, well, do you think it'll hold up? Nah, absolutely not. No way. Well, it did. As the season started, it was like, because when you see him holding the fish, it's a lot bigger than what it looks like because he's so big. Right. That it takes 8 or 9 pounds off that fish.
What?
And so,
that thing's got pretty big belly on it, so it'd be eating pretty good.
Yeah. And God, it held. They were both, I couldn't get anything over 34 inches to the fork of the tail. I think the biggest one I got was 34.5 inches, the fork of the tail, which puts that fish right at 38 and a quarter, overall length.
Okay.
And so,
and you guys were doing your
I think,
derby fork of the tail lengthwise, not doing a weight or anything like that, right?
yes. Because of the amount of payout, we figured it's more accurate to do the fork of the tail than a weight. Because unless we all have the same net with the same scale, all calibrated, it was going to be a headache that we didn't want to open that box. But,
Right.
And then, the weighing of the fish takes longer, and so it was just easier to put had the same exact Rogue Water Jet made us some rulers that were all identical.
Nice.
So everybody had the identical ruler in their boat, and we all measured off that same ruler. And so it made it really easy, and it put the fish under a little bit less stress.
Gotcha.
So you lay that out on top of your landing mat and get your measurement, get a picture, and then in the water. So
Perfect.
That's what we decided to do. Yeah.
Now,
But overall, it was a great season.
That's awesome. I remember back when we had Riley Wallace on here. It looks like he's in the chat tonight. He had taken that kid out or given him a rod or something like that, and then you ended up taking him out at the lake, right?
Yeah.
How'd that go?
It went really good. The kids, I think, had a lot of fun, but it was that day. It was that day the fish did not want to play.
Gotcha.
I think we got, if memory serves me right, we got 2 to the boat. Biggest one, maybe, God, if I'm putting some pounds on it, I think 10 pounds. Okay. It could be a bit of a fisherman's tale on how big that fish is. But they had fun. It was nice to get Riley up there, show him the resource. And it's just a big dynamic to what that resource is, and then the wind picked up, and, with the little ones, when about the time you lose them, you got to get them off a boat.
Yeah.
And then we all went and had lunch together and had a really good time, but the fishing could have been a lot better.
Gotcha.
It definitely could have been a lot better.
So it looks like he said, Little Grumpy Joe. Is there a story behind that?
Oh my God. So I forgot about Joe. Didn't forget about him, but man, I'm here to tell you, we launch at 5:30 in the morning, and so it's really early for a little one. And Joe might be 3 years old.
Okay.
But I'm here to tell you, that kid, I mean, he did not want to listen to any of my sass. Just scowled everywhere. I mean, he is not Joe needs to start fishing at 1 PM. That's what Joe needs. But yeah, dude, he was grumpy as all get out. You can't blame him. It's early, it's cold. And so I think me and Riley both shed our rain jackets for the kids, and we tell everybody it's going to be cold, and, until you're there and fish it.
Yeah. You don't understand.
You don't understand, when I say it's cold and bring rain gear, I mean, it's wear 2 layers and then 2 more and then put your rain gear on top. Buy your rain gear 2 sizes bigger than what you'd normally wear, right?
Right.
And this year, it never stopped snowing, man. I mean,
you got hammered up there.
Oh, my God. There was still snow in the campground when we left in July.
Wow.
And so, which is good. We need the water. But, man, we needed it before we got there. And then it could start snowing up there right now for all I care. I'd be fine with it. But, yeah, it got pretty exhausting getting 4 and 6 inches of snow out of your boat every other day.
I was going to say, man, I remember seeing some pictures that it looked like you were trying to clear the ice and snow out there. But, man, I can't imagine having to do that every day, especially if you get 10 inches.
Dude, there was one day, I think we all had to go down to the boats 3 times that day. It snowed like 14 inches, something like that. So, and that's a lot of weight in your boat.
Right.
And you got to get that stuff out of there. And then, not to take anything away from Nate, with how well he did. But, that cover, I think I think he cheated a little bit getting that cabin because he could fish out there in weather that we not necessarily could. And so, I'm not making any excuses. But if I was going to make an excuse, no, there was a lot of days that I had cabin in me that I was thinking, man, I wish I was in that cabin.
Yeah, just go jump on his boat, bring your clients, and
be warm. And so, no, there was a number of days we had cabin in. Definitely a game changer. I can see that being a big draw for next year. Is God, when we're out there fishing in full rain gear, his guys are in long sleeve shirts, and that cabin kind of when you go bow into the wind, that cabin creates a cushion behind it.
Right.
It's nice. I'm thinking I might up my game and buy a new set of rain gear this year. So
it's an expensive set of rain gear, but probably worth
it. Yeah, exactly. And so, but no, it's nice having that boat in the fleet for sure to be able to offer that.
Right.
Fished a lot of people, or not a lot. I think Nate had three 90-plus-year-old gentlemen in his boat this season that got to experience. Alex had, out of all the trips this year, the one that will make me, I don't say more proud or satisfaction or anything like that. Edge rods. Alex got to fish his rod sponsor, Edge, and they brought a gentleman up that he got to get the lake trout off of his bucket list, and the timing couldn't have been any better. It was definitely the trip that'll go down. It was a very, very beautiful story, and it was a good time to be able to offer that to. And Alex just killed it that day. The stars. I have a picture. I think you might have posted it. They got a triple that day.
I was going to say, I think that was like boat. The triple that he sent me.
It was. And so I actually fished. Me and Alex were fishing side by side when he got that triple. It was an awesome day. That one will probably be the most memorable trip of the season.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, you guys get to make a lot of memories up there with those fish. So.
Yeah. And to have the confidence, not every day that we kill it, not saying that, it's still fishing, it never gets easier to accept, it just, every time that happens, you just go overthinking everything again, right. And then by the time you hit the next day, you're in your boat, you're watching your screen, and we were all laughing this year, because the phones work, they don't work. If I move 200 feet, my phone will go from working to not working. And so and then it's so wet, microphones get wet, you can't hear anything. So it's almost a useless tool. Within 5 minutes, when we're kokanee fishing in the morning, we're watching those lake trout on our screens. And I need to make a note of this. I need to point that out on my Garmin, what we're looking for, because within 5 minutes, it don't matter where everybody is on the lake. Within 5 minutes, everybody will be switched over, headed out to go catch lake trout. I mean, that's the guys, they just got it dialed in, that's just, everybody's just on point.
Right.
And we laugh about it afterwards, we don't even need to talk anymore. It literally is. Once we start seeing them stage up and doing what we want them to do, all three, all of us will go, now I'm going to go get him.
Gotcha. Nice.
It's almost unfair. But no, it was a good season, man. It's, of course, this time of year, I'm just tired.
Right.
And so, and normally I'm up working for Cody right now. And, because of, just some business stuff, we put that off and then extended a little bit, which is no big deal. It's all just going with the seasons, and because you got to play the smoke, the heat, it's a balancing act.
Yeah, for sure. Now you had
So
some new Garmin technology on your boat this year, right? The live scan, or was it something else?
actually, we put the Panoptix on
Okay.
it. The boat went up to Portland Marine Electronics to get new motors and new electronics, and so we actually put the Panoptix on it. And so we got to play around with that a little bit this year.
Now, for somebody that's not familiar with it, kind of like myself, what's the Panoptix? Like, what's kind of view does it give you compared to a normal fish finder?
So it gives you real time. Um, and so what I mean by real time is when you're, because my fish finder set up for the background is blue. And so when you drop your jig down underneath my boat, you'll see this white blob come up, and it's reading that jig, and I can follow that jig all the way down through the water column, and then you'll see lake trout. Like I can tell if there's a lake trout 40 or 80 feet out the starboard side, or how far he is out the port side, and go over right to him.
Okay.
You can watch that fish pretty much eat your jig real time. And
So it's
so
already pretty cool watching them on just the regular fish finder. I can't imagine.
Yeah, just on the traditional, so you see the fish. But it doesn't tell you any more information, and there's just a fish in the cone. And so that cone starts out pretty small. Deeper it gets exponentially bigger. My cone, say we're fishing 160 feet deep. My cone where it's set is probably 12, 14 feet radius, so 20, 24 foot wide. With Panoptix, I can open that up to 80 feet, both sides of my boat.
Okay.
And so while I'm traveling, I can see those fish, instead of having 24 feet on the bottom, now I have 160 feet on the bottom. And so I can swath a bigger area of water. Now, and then in the traditional, if you drop down to 110 feet and say somebody on the other side of the boat drops down to 110 feet, I don't know I can just see two baits at 100, I can just see baits at 110 feet, right? On the Panoptix, I can see you on your side of the boat at 110 feet. I can tell you which rod that lake trout's getting ready to bite.
Okay. So you really have like directional view then kind of on your screen. And so you can tell which rod, where the fish are, and kind of pinpoint and start talking to the right client.
Absolutely. So you'll see a fish clear over here. Like you'll see him 20, 30 feet out the starboard side. And the faster that fish moves, it shows up as a white blob. And I'll send you a video. I don't know if I can send it now, and if you can put it up on the deal.
I don't think I can do the show my screen on this for the live feed. So
got you. All right, but and so you see a white blob over here. You see your jigs working here, and you'll see this white blob over here. It'll be coming in, and it's going like this, and then all of a sudden it'll just shoot over. Well, the faster this fish is moving, the bigger a red tracer is behind it. And so you can see it. With what you do here, I mean, you'll see him just dart over and you'll see it freaking out. And so, I mean, it literally is. I had to catch myself a couple times this year because, it takes a while to be able to read. We really have to tell you what it is, what you're seeing, and put it together so you understand. And I had to catch myself, part of the experience is getting caught off guard. And I ruined it for a couple people this year. It was, not on purpose. It was just, he's over here, and then he just darts over and hammers it. I'm like, get it in gear, here he comes. And it was just rod in the water 5 guys deep.
So you're calling it before it even hits?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so it's a neat technology. I would use it a little bit. I didn't get, after I ruined it a couple times, you could tell it was exciting, but it would have been so much more just shut my mouth and let it unfold at that time. You know what I mean? It would have just been getting caught off guard. And so gotcha. I would turn it on to find fish. And then after that, I would go back to traditional. So, I mean, cause you almost can't help it. It's like holding your rod when you're plug fishing for steelhead. try not to set the hook, I dare you. And so I made myself turn it off, just because of that reason. Just, that, and then people would ask, can you turn it back on? I'm like, all right. So you turn it back on and like, okay, whose bait is the underneath? Well, good news is everybody has fish underneath their baits. Bad news is I'm gonna have to work on and really focus on our technique. So they were pretty picky this year. I mean, as far as how they wanted those jigs to move, it was, you had to be on point.
Gotcha. I mean, if they're eating enough, probably getting pretty picky with what they're hitting then. Is that what's going on?
Yeah. And we kind of had to relearn a little bit. I could tell you, I had one day, 4 people in the boat. 3 guys were fighting fish. I never even took my feet off the cooler. And a buddy of mine that booked the trip, he's like, you don't even get excited about this anymore, do you? Because you catch so many. And I'm laughing. I'm like, no, I love seeing these fish. I said, but none of these fish are coming to the boat. And he goes, how in the hell do you know that none of these fish are coming to the boat? And it was just one after another. That fish is off. That fish was off. That fish was off. You learned pretty quick this year on the bite of which ones were going to get to the boat and which ones were never coming to the boat.
Interesting.
And so it was, they're biting a little bit different. So we went back to the drawing board, hooks, hook placement, as far as stinger hooks and all that, because there's a fine balance, there's a balance between hurting fish and not losing fish. There's a happy medium there. We've been pretty fortunate with the last couple of seasons of our hook placing is on point. And then this year we lost a lot of fish. I think I have the record. Alex had the record last year. 14, that one for 14 or one for 16 that day. I can't remember which, but he was in the lead for losing the most fish on any given day.
Sounds a bit like my salmon fishing this year.
I blew him out of the water this year. I went 1 for 26. And when we count fish lost, it's not opportunities. I mean, rod in the fisherman's hand, fish taking drag. You fought that fish for 40 to 60 feet. I'm not just, he bit and then now he's gone. 26 fish on the line. And I lost, and I caught 1. So I guess, I've lost 25 fish in one day.
It's pretty good.
And it was, I can't remember the gentleman's name. It was Dave, the gentleman that reserved the trip. It was his son or son-in-law. I believe it was his son-in-law, maybe. Anyway, the last one that bit, he's like, what do you want me to do, Todd? And I said, at this point, I have no idea. Just do you. And so, literally, is everything I have is just not working. And we're having the time of our lives. The laughing, the carrying on. It was just, I'm very blessed and fortunate to have people in the boat that just have fun doing what we do.
Right.
And so it makes you feel good when, they have that trust in you to, to know that you're going to do everything you can. What I tell my guys is, I don't guarantee fish. It's very, very few days that I won't get you an opportunity. But what you do with it, and this, what you do with that opportunity, completely up to you. Because that first one, everybody says, because they've read online and people, look, that article that Mark Freeman wrote, the guy catches a 10-pounder trolling and he says they don't fight.
I just laughed at that.
Yeah. I read that article and it's like, come get on my boat.
Right.
I'll show you something that does. When you're a grown man and you cannot get a rod out of the rod holder, and then when you do, he keeps 5 to 6 guides of your rod in the water, you go ahead and tell me they don't fight.
Right.
So, it's just how you catch them. That's why we don't troll for is because trolling. I don't know why. It doesn't make any sense at all, but you can't put a 10-pound fish up against our 20 to 30-pound fish either.
Right.
So
when you're trolling, you have a bunch of line out there, right? Is that what everybody's doing? Are they running downriggers or?
yeah, typically they're all running downriggers and J plugs. And so,
Okay.
they're trolling 2.5, 3.5 mile an hour. It varies. A lot of quick fish at, anywhere from 1.1 to 2.5. And when I say quick fish, I'm mag lips pretty much.
Okay.
Dude, that mag lip, you can't, that plug, it's money. I don't care what species it is. It's
right.
If they're going to bite a plug, you have a mag lip. It's just phenomenal. And so, but they're running down riggers 100 feet, 120 feet, all relative to what depth you're fishing. And so the more active fish are in 80, on average 60 to 100 feet. If you just trolled around at 80 feet deep all day, you're going to catch one. That's where all those fish are actively hunting. The big ones, they're actively hunting more at night, not so much during the day. And that's why we jig for them, in that 160. Deepest one I got this year was at 186. That was the deepest fish I caught. So they go down in the dark. They go down and digest, and then you see them down there. And when I say see them down there, it takes. Everybody asks me all the time, how long did it take me to read my electronics? Still, I learn something new every day. Every year I'm up in my game on those electronics. And now we got it down to where you can just barely see the right thing, on the bottom. And you hammer him and you get him, that's what's funny is, everybody says, oh, I got your spot. I can do what I do anywhere in the lake. I promise.
Right.
So, it's not that big a lake. You'll see us frequent an area a lot, just because everybody thinks that's where the fish are biting. It's mostly because that's where no boats are.
Gotcha.
We're staying out of their way. We're trying to stay out of their way, and then not be crowded ourselves, And so it's a balancing act, of because where guys are kokanee fishing, you don't want to go anchor up right in the middle of them.
No.
You could, it's a free world, and lakes for everybody, but we're just not those guys.
Yeah, it's like it not anchoring up in the main part of the hole here on the Rogue River when everybody's out salmon fishing or side drifting for steelhead.
Right. And so just a little bit of common respect for your fellow fishermen is just, hey, when you're done trolling, our fish aren't going anywhere. When you're done trolling over that area, we can go in and hammer what we want to hammer. So
yeah,
but yeah, it's definitely getting the kokanee fishing, a good day of kokanee fishing. Trolling, you're going to catch 12 to 20 a day, at a boat, not a person, a boat.
Gotcha.
Jigging early on in the season, there was a couple days that, I think there was one day we all had the day off. So me, Alex, Cody, and Nate all went out in the boat, and I think we got 52, something like that. But that's 4 guides fishing,
right?
And that's one of the biggest things to coach people on, I think, is that fact. We're not that great, we're not. But the technique for us is easy. We don't fight the technique, that coaching. And so, it's like rowing a boat. If you watch us row a boat compared to somebody just learning, we make it look easy.
Yeah.
And in a lot of ways it is easy, but it's not. And so we definitely had a lot of fun this year.
Well, that's awesome. I mean, sounds like a great year besides like the hard weather. But I mean, seems like big fish, plenty of fish biting. You don't necessarily have the best landing ratio, getting going 1 for 26.
Yeah, it was the curse all year.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of I got out on the river a lot more this year for springers, and I mean, man, I don't know what our issue was a lot of the days, but some of the best days, opportunity wise, 15 fish days up there on the upper, and then land
Yeah.
3, 4 out of all of them.
Oh my gosh.
And same thing, they're on, head shaking, pull and drag, and then gone. Fight them for 5 minutes, 7 minutes, then gone. I mean, just every which way you could lose a fish, jumping up over.
I think your last year guy, you got me. You happened to witness me with my one down day.
Right.
And God, I can't remember how many had lost up till that. I mean, days of losing every one. Just getting your teeth kicked in and day out. Me and Riley and Nate all talked about it. It's stinger hook or no stinger hook. I'm a big believer in no stinger hook. And I don't have any scientific data to back up anything that I just told you, other than I have a personal, that year I lost all those fish. I was running stinger hooks, and it was me and Nate were fishing together, in one spot there in the river, and God, I'd lost a couple, and he'd boated 3 or 4 by that time, and I was like, man. And he told me then, he said, cut that stinger hook off, and I did, and that was the last time. I think that was 3 seasons ago, 4 seasons ago, whatever it is. That was the last time I ran stinger hooks, and I do a lot better as far as landing salmon ratio than I did. I lost a lot of fish, and I think when they go to crush those berries on those eggs, that they feel that hook and it backs them right off of them.
Yeah.
Either that or they come down a little bit too. This is just what I think is going on.
Right.
I don't have anything to back it up.
We need to figure out some way to get one of those underwater cameras hooked up so that you can actually watch the fish while you're back bouncing. Because, I mean, I was a stinger hook guy. And, I mean, even in the fall when I was running the spawn sacks, 5/0 top hook, 3/0 trailer, and just not a huge bait on there. And never had any issues. There was every once in a while you'd get a day where you'd lose a bunch of fish. But most of the time, going 4 for 5. And then, I mean, that's just normal odds. It seems like for no matter how you're running stuff. So.
No, 4 for 5. I'm not changing anything.
Right.
It was just, I had a bad run and I might go back to a stinger hook a little bit later. The only time that I do run a stinger hook is if I'm running sand shrimp underneath my eggs. There are times where I will put the sand shrimp first and the eggs behind instead of stacking the other one.
Right.
There are times I think they want that sand shrimp more. And so I give it to them first. But again, we're right back into overthinking everything that we know.
Yep.
It's a salmon, bonk him on the nose. If he's going to bite, he's going to bite. I think this weather's just got them so uneasy that they're not acting normal in the holes that we've been fishing. They've got enough room to do a lot of things. Yeah. And so that day with Nate, I back bounced through that hole 3 times and line rub salmon. Every time I bounced through there, I was line rubbing fish. That's how many fish were in.
Yeah, we had a couple days like that where, I mean, you can't even do anything. You're just bouncing, you drop down, hit the bottom, and then all of a sudden you feel something, and then it just pulls, and it's foul hook salmon. And just bouncing eggs like we normally would. And we hooked more foul hooked fish this year than I've ever seen, and not
really.
Yeah, not even hooking them on the lift up. It was always just when it was sitting on the bottom and they'd swim through it.
Yeah, see, these were we never hooked any of them. The
stinger hook.
Yeah. And so but I mean, and it's good bait. I mean, I know that I know they'll eat that bait. To back bounce through that many fish, I know he's seen it. I don't know. Again, you go back to second guessing everything. Do you lengthen your lead? Do you shorten your leader? Do what? Do you start drop shot? Put your sinker on a longer drop or get the bait. It just there's a million things, and you can overthink it for days.
100%.
And so that's one of the things that we love about it most, though, is that every day is a little bit different.
Yep. Yeah, Riley said there was definitely enough water for him this year that his shoulders are still feeling the pain, it sounds like. So
I know. I think he just got his motor. I got to call him. I haven't talked to him for a couple of days. I know he'd been waiting on his captain's license. I had to renew this, I had to renew this last year, and man, it is a pain in the neck. If you got one little thing out of line, not where it's supposed to go, I know his had a little hiccup there. They put one paper at the end of the portfolio instead of where it was supposed to be in the portfolio or booklet. So now you got to resend it, and you're like, my God, man, you got all the information there. Just use it.
Right.
And so,
yeah.
But yeah, he'll be glad to get that motor on. I know that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, at least the water's come down now. No longer early Springer season where it's running at 3,200 plus.
See, and I wish they would jump it up to about 7,000 for about a week, and then back her off down and flush them smolts out of there.
Yeah, that is the nice thing about this year is that water was above 30,000 pretty much all season, so it was flushing all those smolts out. So
yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it should be another, as long as the ocean conditions stay good, another 3-4 years, and we should hopefully get a bunch of fish back.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that's when you see all the good returns coming back is off the high water years.
Yeah. One thing that was interesting this year was seeing down there in Gold Beach, seemed like early in the year, April, it was like 50% hatchery fish that we were catching down there. And then those fish just never made it upriver. You get it to the upriver, and then all of a sudden it was like 25% hatchery fish. So not really sure what happened there this year, but I did hear, I think it was 2018 was the first year that they planted a bunch of the smolts down in Gold Beach. So they just ran them all the way down river. So makes you wonder if those hatchery fish were sitting down there milling in the lower river instead of shooting straight up. But yeah, it was kind of interesting to see that this year with, high water, lower river fished awesome. Bunch of hatchery fish to take home, but then plenty of wild fish in the upper river this year, just not a ton of hatchery fish like we saw in the lower river.
Right. Now I'd be interested to pick Ryan's ear on that, of what he thinks, if there's anything to that.
Yeah. Unless
so, but 25% hatchery return back in the upper is still great.
Yeah.
That's still way better than what we've had.
Yeah. So, we've got like 4,000 back to the hatchery now. So if it's 25%, that's like 10,000 wild fish into the river. So not too bad at all.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, that's kind of nice.
Yeah. Yeah. Unless the only other thing would be if Mr. Shane Blair was catching all the hatchery fish, because he was definitely putting a hurt on them this year.
Yeah. Yeah. And that could be, maybe, just flatten his tires. So no, it's good to see everybody. We all have the places that we fish. It's good to see your the fellow guides, having success on their stretches, because that bay, that's a tough fishery. That's either hero or zero, man. And it's nice to see they've had pretty good returns every year, and the guys fishing down there are good guides. There's everybody down there pretty much got it on point.
Yeah. So it's nice to see just everywhere throughout the Northwest this year. Like the Columbia was setting records for the sockeye and got great springer and summer run. I don't know.
Right.
Buoy 10 just opened today. Did you hear from Cody on how he did?
I haven't heard. No, I haven't heard. I know his Buoy 10 report. It should already be aired on YouTube.
Okay.
His daily report that he does there on Day One Outdoors.
Right. Yeah, and then Sacramento just opened, like the upper part of the Sacramento just opened today for salmon too. And I
Man, I
heard,
seen a picture. Oh my God.
yeah, I think that's, if I remember right, this is like the barge hole opener, and so it looks like it's
Oh,
pretty
that's where
crazy down
that
there.
was.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Yeah.
I saw Jeff Goodwin on social media posted. It sounded like a nice day, bunch of bright big fish. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's nice to see the runs everywhere kind of rebounding this year. Um,
Yes.
I know there's the predictions are for the fall fish. They're talking about possibly closing down a lot of the rivers because of poor returns, but it'll be interesting to see if they kind of follow the spring and summer runs so far.
Well, did I hear right? Because we don't get news or anything up there very well. Tillamook, did they close Tillamook down for
I,
salmon?
I don't know if it's actually closed yet, but I know that, I mean, it's definitely in the possibilities from last I had heard. I mean,
Right.
all the way down here, like the elk and sixes and Chetco are all in jeopardy this year. So,
Really? For the fall
yeah.
fish?
Yep, pretty much every river in Oregon.
Oh,
Yeah, I think except for the Rogue and then the Columbia, those are the two rivers that they're expecting a bunch of fish back on. So we'll see.
yeah. Yeah. And speaking of that, how do you, um, what are your thoughts? How do you get in front of it? Is there,
As
the,
as far as what, like keeping the rivers open this year, if they come in better than anticipated, or
well, I'm not saying, I'm going to get a lot of heat for this, but I'm going to go ahead and say it. Um, uh, Not all restrictions are bad. We have to do what's right for the resource, not what's right for one particular entity.
right?
That's what that's the message that people need to understand. There's not enough fish to sustain the resource, then none of us should be fishing for
Yeah,
them. Am I saying we need to shut rivers down? No, I'm not. It's the how do we help them, like Bob said, how do we help them get the data?
yeah,
Do we take it upon ourselves to keep records, of how many wild fish we're catching to how many hatchery fish we're catching and where we're catching it? What that's what I'm asking on how we get ahead of it is, how do we get ahead of it to give them the data? You know what I mean?
I mean, with their app already, where you have to report the your harvest. I
Right.
mean, they have real time data on that, I would assume. So why not just add a button in there and require guides, just like you do down in Cal? Even the guides don't have to do it, or the guides have to do it down in California, but everybody does when you're salmon fishing. You catch a fish, whether you're keeping it or releasing it, you have to record it on your tag. So here in
Right.
Oregon, why not do that and do it electronically? And then you get that real time data, and then you can go off that. I mean, also you look at it like Alaska, which shut down the Kenai this year because of poor return. They've got the sonars up there in a lot of the rivers, so then you get real time data without having to worry about people catching it and giving you that data. Um, so I know it's kind of on the tables, at least here on the Rogue, according to their management plan. But I've heard that that might be getting scrapped as well. But I mean, that's something I'm really interested in looking into, is getting like a sonar on the Rogue, and then you can start, if it works, then you start putting them in the other rivers.
One of my, I don't want to name drop here. One of my mentors, I believe he had something in the works to get that sonar in the Rogue River. And I'll have to reach out to him to see what it got shot down. Um, I don't know how far it went or anything like that, but I'm pretty sure it was on board and then something happened and it wasn't.
Gotcha.
And so I'll reach out to him
Yeah,
and
because
see what.
I've heard a few different things, but no firsthand information on why it hasn't happened. Because if you look in the ODFW management plan for the Rogue, it's in there as something they want to do.
I believe he had it funded. Don't quote me on any of this. This is
Yeah,
all secondhand, a couple years ago stuff. But I think he had it pretty far going, and somebody, yeah, I'll get more information on it before I say
Yeah.
anything else.
And see, I mean, if you're a scientist, you need that data. So there would
Absolutely.
there would be no reason to shut something like that down, in my opinion, unless you thought it wasn't going to be effective. If the sonar didn't work in the Rogue for whatever reason, um, if it was depth or river flow or turbidity. I mean, I've never been up to Alaskan fish the Kenai, but I'm pretty sure it's glacial. It's not like a clear river, and those sonars, I don't know.
No,
I don't think
I've
that
seen it. I
matters.
mean, it's you wouldn't want to stand in it with a pair of deep reed waders for more than 5 minutes. You're going to weigh 300 pounds. There's so much silt.
Right.
I mean, it's the most beautiful blue turquoise that you ever seen, but there's more silt in there than what you realize there is.
Yeah.
And so, it's just different than what we know.
Right. And
But
so, I
no,
mean, that's the thing is like, so why wouldn't they put one in if it's gonna? The only thing then is that they have to actively manage the river. If the run comes in way above forecast, why wouldn't they open up to more retention? Or if it comes in below forecast, then why wouldn't they would need to shut the river down? So now they have to be more active in their job. I guess, I mean, that's literally the only negative I see. So
um,
unless I'm missing something.
yeah, without saying too much, I think you're missing something. So, but I need to talk to him first,
Gotcha.
before I talk about this. Um,
But yeah, I mean,
it's,
really, with all of our fisheries, it's just how do we get
I
more
think it's
data?
bigger. I think it's bigger than that. I believe that was the problem at that time.
Huh.
So it was because you got to understand. Even Ryan, he has a boss. Um, you know the everybody answers to somebody else. And
Yeah.
it seems like, and so, but I think it was more. I think it was more political than it was. A lot of that stuff has to do with who starts it, right?
It shouldn't.
As far
I
as
mean, that's where I don't understand. I mean, if you want
it
to do your
shouldn't.
job
No,
better, if we want to actually help the fish, why you need the best data possible. You need to know
that's
how
how
many
it should
fish.
be.
You need to know how many fish are coming in the river every day. You need how many fish are people catching. Where are people catching fish? You have the tools right at your fingertips. Why would you not utilize them?
Right.
Especially
Because
especially if you don't have to fund it. If the ODFW doesn't have to put in the money and is willing to come from outside, they don't have to do anything except for then
yeah,
use the data.
yeah. But what if you broke my GI Joe in junior high, and I'm still not okay with you breaking my favorite GI Joe?
So then can we just put I mean, but so like looking at this, like can we go in and then just put the sonar in and then have the data to ourselves? If ODFW doesn't want it, we don't have to give it to them. Is there a
I'm going
problem
to
with
say
putting a
yes. I'm going
sonar?
to say yes. You can. I'm not too sure I can, but I think you can. Yes. No, but that's how a lot of things are. I mean, they're politically driven, um, and people don't want to admit that, but it is, and that's why it's so important that we have one single voice. You know, is because I mean, again, we're fighting against one single voice, a well-funded one single voice. So we just have to start playing with the same rules that they're playing with.
Yeah.
And we got to get together as a whole, as a community. I don't fly fish. I mean, I do, but I don't. I mean, I'm not a purist fly fisherman. I'm not a purist gear fisherman. I think, well, I take it back. I'm a purist lake trout jig fisherman. That's the only way I want to catch it. And so, we all have our one thing, but I don't downgrade the guys trolling for them. I encourage everybody to catch them however they're comfortable catching them.
Yeah.
You know, this is just how I catch them. And so that's where that one voice comes into play is, we all just got to get together I don't kill wild fish. I literally just a guy did a book with me yesterday for the winter because he wanted to kill wild fish. I don't do it. Um, the I belittle. I don't belittle him. I give him a hard time, but he's my friend, and that's what friends are for. And so, I mean, I can only control what goes on in my boat. As long as people are doing it legally, I don't agree with it, but and so I don't do it in my boat. Or if you work for me, we don't.
And that's an opportunity for people. If you want to release the wild fish, that's your right, and then you get to set what the rules in your boat.
Yep.
So I mean, and yeah, like you say, people can book with you or they can book with somebody else, depending on what kind of experience they want.
Yep. Yeah, and if you let yourself get into that data debate, that's one of the frustrating parts right now is the data is so old.
Yeah.
I mean, it is. I mean, that's reality. You got to be careful because you can spin somebody's words around to mean whatever you want it to mean if you take out the right words. I mean, you could edit this conversation here to make it out to where I kill all wild fish. That's all I do. Because it's edited, right? I mean, you can do that. And so we just got to work together. I know what the problem is. I take it back. I don't know what the problem is. I know how people are getting around the issue is, non-resident, not even non-residents. If you lose your license and tag on a weekend, these guys are buying one-day licenses. And so there's no running tally of how many wild fish you caught if you're buying one-day licenses.
Right.
That's a problem.
Yeah. Well, I thought when they first came out with this e-tagging stuff, I thought, I mean, if you were a hunter, you do the paper thing and you just make 10 copies of it and then you go harvest 10 deer. I mean, there was nothing stopping you from doing that. There still probably isn't anything stopping you from doing that. So, I mean, yeah.
But in all reality, there was nothing stopping you from doing it there was nothing stopping you from doing it before. If you're that person, then it made it easier, but it didn't change the dynamic of any of it.
It just made it easier with the regular paper and everything. I would like that all one-day licenses were only online. That way we running tally of how many halibut, how many sturgeon, how many steelhead. Even sturgeon, Stephen. You come here from Washington to Oregon, you buy a one-day license, print it out on your printer. I mean, I just did this for my nephew the other day when we went fishing. Then you throw. Nobody knows if you've got one sturgeon that year or two. Right.
And so I think all one-day licenses should be e-tagged only. If you're coming here fishing out of state, you've got a smartphone.
Yeah. I mean,
chances are.
Yeah. Anymore today, I mean, I don't know. I know it probably piss a lot of people off, but why wouldn't we just go all digital? I mean, everything's going that way. So why not push it? Because then you have that real-time data. You can keep track of things better. I mean, most of the people that are going to be mad at that are going to be the ones that are taking advantage of the system currently.
Exactly. Yep.
So
you can't be worried about Big Brother when you got a tracking device in your pocket. Sorry, that debate doesn't hold. That debate holds no water with me. Sorry.
No. Riley asked us if they think we'll put in that owl effect where basically cut off fishing after 1 p.m. You think that's going to go into effect again this year with water conditions?
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope. They would have done it this summer.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I mean, we had enough water that it seems like, I mean, man, down there at Agnes, it didn't even hit 70 degrees until a couple weeks ago. So all those fish were moving up just fine.
Yep.
We'll see. This hot weather's definitely got things changed, but we still have enough water that I don't see any real reason for him to put it in.
No, I think they would have done it. They would have done it by now. If they were going to do it, typically we'd have seen it already, I think. So, but it's water. They had enough water to not. It's not easy. I don't want to say they're not out there. I'm not on the river like I used to be. I will be because I got a couple trips here this next week, and then I'm going to hit the bug and bubble season really hard. But so I've only been on the river a couple times. I think the biggest snaggers I've seen, I haven't been down to Takelma. The snaggers in Casey Park are, it's Casey Park. I
Yeah.
mean, guys bitching about snaggers the whole time. They're just doing this reel down. And you're like, you can't even say anything anymore because all they want is, I mean, yeah, it's just stupid. But
Yep.
The guard hole, I don't even think we've seen a snagger in there. I seen a guy running a side planer on a plug. Two guys above him when I went fishing with Riley there, and yeah, I don't know if it's as bad this year or if it has tamed down some because higher water. What it is, but I'll see Takelma here. Know what the conditions are as far as the snagging.
Right. I wasn't on the river as much either this year since I'm not guiding, but there
Right.
was definitely when we were out there early in the season, every day I saw somebody fishing in slide hole with bobber and eggs. And there was like maybe one
Good.
other guy, but it seems like, and I would say not necessarily young guys, but I mean my age or younger were the guys using the
Right.
bobber and egg. So hopefully things are changing a little bit. But I mean, you're never going to get rid of the snagging up here, no matter what, or anywhere for
No.
that
No.
matter. All those rivers
No.
that is kind of ingrained in the community. It's just, especially, I mean, when I was growing up, you see that's how everybody's catching it from the bank. That's what you do. And then you either learn what you're doing and change, or, that's just how it's done and you keep doing it.
Well, I mean, got to be honest a little bit here. I mean, I'd be lying if I. I mean, I was 10 years old once.
Yeah. I mean,
I mean,
I was bank fishing on the upper road, when I was a kid. I,
right.
it took me a couple of years to really figure out exactly what was going on. My dad tried teaching me he was used to tossing spinners. That's pretty much all he did up there in Washington. So we came down here and we were doing that. Hooked a couple on eggs. And then you see these guys next to you catching 10 fish every day. And you're like, oh, I guess those corkies work really well when you just bring them next to the bank and jerk every cast.
Right. Right.
And I mean, that's when you see how guys are successful. And then you switch over to it, you start hooking fish. You're like, oh, this is fun. And then, it's kind of how you get started. A lot of people, at least, especially if you don't have that mentor to take you out on the river to show you
Right. Right.
and keep things going the right direction and saying, this is what they're doing and this is why they're hooking fish, so.
Yeah. Until somebody explains it to you, we were pretty. I mean, we were pretty young when somebody explained it to us, and we knew. You knew what it was, and now you can spot them a mile away. If you got 5 different colors of yarn tied into your net, there's a good reason why you have that yarn tied onto your net. It's not to hold the diamond shut. Sorry. And how you're working the rod. You can tell. I mean, the Rogue River Twitch is, it's like,
Yeah.
come on, you're not even being sneaky at this point. You're
Nope.
literally just raking. And so, at least put a twitching jig on there, make it somewhat legit, for crying out loud.
Right.
My God. And so, yeah, it's either it's not as bad as it used to be, or like you said, people are looking to up their game and be more of a sportsman.
I think, I mean, at least here on the Rogue, I think part of it too was those down years. I mean, with no fish in the river, it's really hard to snag salmon when there's only a couple of salmon sitting in that hole. So you
Yeah,
had to run
exactly.
eggs to actually be more successful. So I don't know if that kind of got some people switched over or it just made the snaggers give up. But it didn't seem like it was near as crowded as it used to be up there. And I saw more people running bobbers and eggs this year. So overall it seemed to be improving a little bit at least.
Good. Good. Because that's what we needed.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no room for that anymore. I mean, not that there ever was. I don't want to make it sound like, there was, when there was 80,000 fish, it was okay to snag 2, 100, whatever it is. It was never right. But years past, when you see 3 different generations of the family sitting in a hole snagging out of a drift boat, you're like, my God, there's a better way.
Yep.
And we don't live in a subsistence way of life no more. I've said this a million times this year. Is everybody wants to romanticize the idea that they live in a subsistence way of life. The reality is we don't. If you're hungry, you go to the store, the same store that I go to. We hunt and fish. I know one person in my life that literally does not buy any meat. I mean, it literally, they grow it themselves, right, from pretty much start to finish. But for the most part, it's so much work that I'm pretty sure this next year, even he's not doing it. It's just a lot of work. It is healthier. They shoot their deer and elk every year. Good hunter. And, but a deer, even a deer or an elk, with 3 kids that you're feeding, 2 adults, it don't last all year, man.
No.
You got to supplement it with something else. So
it's still nice just to have that opportunity, though. Whether it's going out and getting a deer or elk or getting the salmon.
Right.
I mean, especially the springers, that's best quality meat you can get from a fish.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just nice having those opportunities no matter what.
Absolutely. Now, don't get me wrong. We'll smoke it up to can it. We like to put a bunch of it up, but it's not Living Alone, the TV show. So, when I say it's bad, that means I ate 4 times a day, not just the one when I'm working.
Yeah. How long are you making it on alone? Are you beating those people on that show?
Back in the day, I could have made a run at it, because I miss my family, but I've never known anything other than working out of town and being gone for extended periods of time. And so I can put that in the back of my mind and not dwell on it or focus on it, but I watch it, me and the wife, Misty, we talk, and there's like, if I'm out there by myself, your rules of I can't shoot this and I can't shoot that, I'm killing it all. Right. And so I don't think it's a fair, like if I got lost and was in the woods, I'm sorry, but I don't care. I'm not starving to death. I don't care about Fish and Game laws at that point of me surviving or dying.
No, not at all.
And so it's kind of an unrealistic idea of, you have to go out there and survive, but you have to fly fish. You can't run a gill net. They have all these rules when you and I both know if I get stranded out there, if I have dynamite, I'll use that.
Yeah.
Hunting for sport or fishing for sport is a lot different than fishing for subsistence.
Yeah, 100%.
And so we laugh at it. I like to eat. I'm not a big starving guy. But I think there's definitely room for that. You should know how to feed yourself. You should know how to catch a fish. You should know how to clean a fish, and you should know how to cook a fish. The big game, today's day and age, if you're not raised around it, killing doesn't sit well. It depends on where you are as far as, when you see a town deer, do you see a pet or do you see a steak? I see both.
I mean, I'm sure if you haven't eaten in 7 days, 14 days,
Well, to kill it.
you don't care.
No, and that's the thing. There's a big difference in feeding yourself and hunting. There's not a day that passes by that I couldn't kill a deer or elk. Not a day. And everybody says, no way. There's no way you can go out there any given day and kill a deer and elk. And I said, never did I say I was going out today. I mean, because it's different. It's, the hunting for survival and hunting for sport are two different things. That deer walking downtown Shady Cove, I'm a dumb or her. It's, and I'm going to eat it because you're starving, right? And so the alone, it's fun to watch just because, I mean, those guys just see who can outstarve the next guy. And it's got to be miserable, right? It's,
Northwest
Bears.
Kid in chat says that he thinks you'd be a good one on at the show. So we got to get you on there.
I actually met a couple people this year that had family members that were really close to getting on that show.
Really?
A couple of clients this year. One from Idaho and one from Oregon had both of them had family members they went pretty far in the process. Huh. With the prosthetic now would be really tough for me. Yeah. That's the only thing that would dampen me is that aspect of me now is that. But
I mean, you like to use it to sell yourself sometimes, so it'd probably be a good way to get on the show.
Hey, I'll guarantee I could outlast that last, 2 weeks. You're missing your family so much in 2 weeks that you got to get. Yeah, I love my wife. I love my mom and dad. 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's like you've never been away from home. I mean, you never gone on a trip?
Yeah. I mean, I don't even realize that I've been gone at that time. And so, but no, it'd be a good one. I mean, guys are worried about, we just grew up different. I'll eat some raw. I mean, everybody that goes fishing with me will tell you that I'm the guy that eats chicken out of the garbage. I mean, that's, so it could be rotten. I'll still eat it and I'm fine.
Your stomach's a little used to it though. Better than mine would be.
Yeah, exactly. So I just hate throwing food away. And so this year, the guy I think a couple of guys got fevers. He didn't eat the tail. Yeah, there's just a way to do it. I think one of the funniest times of this season was the guy was on the fish, getting a trout every cast, and he stops at like 5 or 6. I wouldn't have stopped till they stopped biting. I mean, right. I'm getting them while the getting's good,
Yeah.
But just little things like that, it's stay warm. I can't believe this guy's made it this far this year with no fire. I mean, I mean, the polar bears don't scare me. Wolves don't scare me. Cougars, it is what it is. So the only one that really makes me eerie is a cat, just because you're never going to see it coming. If he gets hungry enough, he's just going to get you from back, and hopefully you go fast enough to where he eats you when you're dead, not when you're still alive. But I don't know.
Right.
But no, it'd be fun. I think alone. I think we should do a series of Alone in the City, because I'm far more uncomfortable in the city than I am in the wild.
I mean, yeah, anymore downtown in some of the cities here is probably a little bit more sketchy than living out there in the woods with the grizzly bears.
Yeah, that ain't no kidding. That two-legged critter. That one. Yeah, got to be careful.
Yep.
So, no, it's been a good year, bud. So,
yeah,
ready for next year.
We got a lot of good things done here with the club too. Got to talk with a lot of people, get out in the field, talk with the guides, start talking with people about how we can do things differently, I guess, with the conservation aspect. How we've talked about possibly hiring a lobbyist, getting in front of people, educating people. So it's been a fun off season while you were gone for me. Got to do a lot of fishing, get out there and talk
Yeah.
with people, and then we just recently got that NFT launched so that we're actually completely live now, and so it's just about onboarding people into the club at this point.
Right on. Um, Need to figure out a way to where, the Discord, the phone, nothing works up there.
Right.
I mean, it just makes it tough. Getting internet up there in years. Oh, this next season, I might have internet this next season full time. So I
You're
think
not staying at the lake this next season, right?
excuse me, no. Nate, where Nate stayed, I think we're all going to stay down there where he stayed, and he season. We didn't see as many people up there, which for me is a little bit concerning. We want people there utilizing the resource, catching fish. The opportunities were there. It's not, you're not gonna, like I said, you're not going to go out and get 30 a day, but you're going to get 12 quality fish. I mean, some of those kokanee, you couldn't put your hand, they're a couple inches across the back and, look like footballs. I mean,
Right.
just gorgeous kokanee. And so it'd be real, be a lot nicer to share that information, especially with gas prices getting where they're going. Giving people that real time. This is what we're catching them on, and then let them have the info to where they're not wasting their hard-earned money.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the Discord, I mean, even here on the Rogue, with the summer steelhead run, it's super accessible. They're super aggressive. And so getting people in there and, hey, come chat with us. Like, I have no problem telling you what size spinner, where to go throw it, and go catch yourself a couple fish.
Yeah.
They're fun. And that's where that Discord can definitely come in handy. We can come get people in there chatting, just sharing those different, what you're doing. This is what I'm doing. Hey, let's go meet up. Let's go hit it together. Whatever it is. And just, I don't know, the social media is hard to follow a lot of times, even with those different groups, the Addictive Fishing Group or the Southern Oregon Steelheaders, can just be tough to keep up with any conversations happening in there. So the Discord definitely kind of streamlines that all, I guess.
Right. Well, it gives them that more centralized area. You know exactly where, and I know why they do what, why they don't name river names, because they're following is, I mean, they would blow up a resource, if they allowed river names. And George traveling all over. I mean, that guy, he could be fishing here one day and be in Montana the next day and a half,
Right.
And so definitely given, having that Discord where people know, here, we passed right before the takeout, upriver, the guy, I think he said he got 3 that morning. And so, I mean, there's some fairly good bank access, but again, if you know where to go,
right.
And don't cast to the other side of the river.
Yeah.
That would be my one alpha for tonight. That's what it's going to be. I spoiled my alpha. My alpha is don't cast to the other side of the river. So,
no,
I mean, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, the thing I'm looking forward to getting with the Discord is getting those guys in there. And then we just kind of get that sense of actual community, we're all friends, most of us that are in this so far. And so it's just kind of our place to go banter and give each other information. And, we even vent to each other. This is how the day went. Don't cast across the river. And then we can all make fun of you for doing it.
Right.
But it's all between friends,
I don't know. Right. I mean, it's, if you watch the drift boats going down the river and then look where we cast, don't cast to the other side of the river. So, but the biggest part, the community is what you just said. I think the biggest thing that people are going to learn, the number one thing, when we go and talk and do all that stuff, everybody wants to know, what's your leader length? And it's like, well, it's this, and then sometimes it's this, and then I tie 2 knots, and then I think what you'll find is we all use something a little bit different colors. We all catch fish, but what it's going to do is give you the confidence to fish what you're fishing. Where you're fishing it is by far more important
100%.
than what you're using. Your sinker and where you're casting are the 2 biggest things. If you're, because I'm bank fishing, I've bank fished my life, and you cast out, you get hung up, you retie. Very next cast back out, you get hung up, you got to retie. So now you're like, oh, screw you, I'm going to lighten up my sinker. And pretty soon you get your sinker so light that you're not getting hung up no more, and you're just going tick, tick, fast food those fish. You'll get some aggressive fish, don't get me wrong.
Right.
But you have to pay attention to slow that down and fish it productively. When you're swinging from the bank, you cast out somewhat middle of the river. Your bait, out of that whole cast, I'll bet you your bait isn't in the strike zone, maybe, if you're lucky, 27, 28% of the time. By the time it swings, you're in that strike zone right here, and now you're out.
Yeah.
There's a short window that you are actually in the strike zone. And once you start recognizing where that strike zone is, then you'll be more productive. Because now when you see me cast a foot farther out in the river, I'm not casting to the other side. I'm just fishing a foot farther downriver as well.
Right.
And so, but that's a discussion for the Discord, and of that stuff. We all do things a little bit different. It's where we're doing it that makes the difference.
Yep. 100%.
Do we have the private Discord up and running?
Yep. Yeah. So anybody that owns an NFT, if you bought one or you got one in the giveaway, you can go into the Discord. It's called Collabland Join is the channel to go into. And then, so if you're on your computer or your phone, if you're on your phone, you got to do it through the MetaMask app. But yeah, you just click on the link in there and it'll connect your wallet to the NFT, and then you got access to the private channels. So that's also another way, if you don't want to really broadcast what river you're fishing to the whole world, and just to the friends or your club members, that's an easy way to do it. So that, you don't have to worry about completely blowing up a spot. And then if it is, then it's going to be somebody that you probably know or you've talked to in Discord before.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's up and running. That's the first benefit that we got for the people that have supported us and got an NFT. And so, that's just the first of many of what we're going to be able to do with it. So it's going to be fun that's the beauty of the NFT, is now we just get to keep building and adding value to it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so, I know we've kind of discussed some of our next plans, and we don't want to spoil anything before things are actually set. With what we're doing, there's a lot of logistics that go on, especially doing 4 states here in the Northwest. But if we can actually pull off the logistics to do it, there's going to be a lot of fun to be had. So I'm looking forward to it. I think the couple people that I've thrown the ideas out to, are looking forward to it as well and are completely on board. So it should be a lot of fun with what we got in the works.
Yeah, I'm excited. It's, I've got a couple more weeks. Middle of September, I'll be back, full time, and be a lot more active in it for sure. But I'm excited for the next stage of the whole thing. It's going to be fun to see where it goes.
Yeah. And just with the NFT, for me, it's one of the things that I'm really into. I know a lot of people have probably been scared off with the recent crash in the crypto and everything. And a lot of the volume, basically the speculators kind of backed out of the space is what you're seeing. So now it's more relying on the actual teams that are building. So it's fun to actually be a new kind of under the radar for us and actually be somebody that's building a lot of utility for the actual NFT, especially if you're really into fishing. And so, it's not just the picture is awesome. I think they're pretty fun. But now there's going to be actually a lot of value that is attached to that, and you're going to help out the fisheries and have a say in how we do that, and then you're going to be able to actually have something that unlocks a lot of benefits and fun activities for you as well.
Right. That was just had a conversation with somebody the other day. That was they brought up the NFT, and they're gone, and it didn't last as what they're, and and what I told him was you're focused on the wrong thing. The NFT is just access to what we're doing. It has, it has value, but there's tangible value with it. It's not just, it's not just owning the artwork.
Right.
And trying to explain that if you take a key on your keychain, that's what it is. It has value because it's a key to your house, and there's value in your house. But that's what the NFT is. It has value because that key gives you access to the value. And so, yeah, definitely having that conversation. Got to think about it in a different light of, it's like you said, the artwork is cool. But it's, that's how I relate to it anyway with the key. It's just access. So,
yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's more than just a piece of art. If you look at a lot of the big projects like the Bored Apes, it's a picture of a ape dressed up, and you're wondering why it's selling for $100,000 plus. But it's because it gets you access to a Snoop Dogg and Eminem concert that's exclusive. It gets you connected to Stephen Curry. It gets you all this different access. And that's, basically what we're building out here for the fishermen, is that access to the knowledge, access to new events, and we're building it out in a way that a lot of the funds go back to actually helping support the fisheries. Because really, at the end of the day, if there's no fish, then we have no club. So we have to support the fish. We have to make sure the populations are growing. And then if we do that, then, if there's more fish coming back, there's more people out there fishing. That helps all the communities, because if you're out there fishing or people are traveling here, that's putting a lot of money into the restaurants, hotels, everybody's pocket. And then as the fisheries grow and there's more opportunities, then the club's going to grow. So it's going to add even more value back to the club. And then as long as that cycle gets spinning, it just keeps on growing and growing.
Right. No, it definitely is a win-win. I mean, me and you talk about it. We just got to do something so completely different than what anybody else has done.
Yeah.
That we just have to go about it different. Yeah. So,
I see
a lot like.
I was gonna say, I see the NFTs kind of changing the whole conservation game, just because all of a sudden it gives you an incentive to be a part of the cause or a community that all has kind of a same belief. I mean, so if you look at it like, say, Greenpeace had offered an NFT when they first got started up, and you were a supporter of their cause. Now they blow up because they're working on their cause and helping the environment. You got to go along for the ride, and all of a sudden now their brand is worth a lot, and you come along for the ride got you a lot of benefits, and now you can do whatever you want with that. And so it makes it so that you actually want to invest that. If you've got an asset that is valuable, you're more willing to help that resource, because if you're doing that and the resource is growing, then what you hold as that asset is also going to become more valuable. So it just starts.
Oh, for sure.
It just kind of creates a different incentive system, instead of just relying on people to do good out of their kindness of their heart.
Right. Which, we all want to do good. It's like we said earlier, individually, we're really hard to hear. Collectively, we're really hard to ignore. It's one of the things that one of the mantras I would tell myself when we founded Adaptive Excursions and the with that nonprofit, we just all have to band together, and however that looks, we just have to. If we all support each other on our fights, then it'll win, yeah. I mean, I could go on days about it, but I got to be so vague right now that it's not really fair to the listeners. So
yeah,
but yeah, it's I'm more passionate about this than I have been about. I would put it right up there with adaptive excursions. I will, how much I believe in this is, it's right up there with that. Yeah. I have to leave this better than what I found.
We got a good chance to do a lot of good with this and then have a lot of fun at the same time. So
absolutely. Get a fish, get to meet new people. And there's nothing more I love in this world than fishing and meeting new people. I mean, that's why I guide some really beautiful people. Couple not so beautiful. I think just one this season. But for the most part, everybody, like I said, I'm very blessed and fortunate to get to spend my day with like-minded people. Not that we all think alike. I mean, we don't talk politics. We don't talk, we just talk fishing. And, I mean, it's, and how we started, how it's progressed and where we are now. And how much simpler it used to be, when you had a rod and reel, you had a rod and reel that was $12, $14, man.
Yeah. It's just about going out. It's about going out and having fun with friends and family.
Yeah. You went out at night, got your night crawlers. And then, if you didn't get any night crawlers and you wade the river, get some crawdads and use it for bait. Just simpler times, and now we throw electronics at it. We throw line counters. We throw, just so much overwhelming stuff. And you're like, man, I just wish, not wish, I take it back. It was just simpler back then. But, now river access is a big deal. It's not like it was when we were growing up. Opportunities are fewer. But
rather than just going and doing it by myself, I can be kind of a selfish person, but if you got that group of friends or even just sharing that experience with somebody new, it makes it that much better, that much more fun for me, at least.
Yeah. I mean, that's why, again, that's why I guide I've caught a lot of fish in my day. And I, on my days off, I still go fishing, I mean, I love it, but getting to see somebody enjoy something for the first time and experience something for the first time that we do all the time, it really, I can live vicariously through them in that moment and remember what it was like the first time I did it, and it brings back that spark for me. You know what I mean? It's I'm very blessed to have a couple of nephews running around now that I get to spend a little bit of my time with, and seeing them, I mean, it just rejuvenates that spark of, that's the look right there of, Talon, my nephew from California, Nate put him on that steelhead. Man, it was just cartwheel. They're big steelhead this year. Good looking fish.
Crazy big fish. I lost one that was 15 pounds. And then had another buddy land the one that was about 15 pounds as well. So, I mean, for the Rogue, that's a giant summer steelhead.
Man, this one was no slouch at 8 pounds. I mean, it was, just a nice fish. And he might have been 6. I should go back and look at the picture. I probably put a couple pounds on that fish. But, I mean,
we all do.
Is a solid fish that took him. He plays sports. The kid practices every day, baseball or football. I mean, every day. And he had some arm pump going like you wouldn't believe. And I mean, it was just awesome, getting to witness that. And so definitely rejuvenates that spark of, that's why I still do it. So,
yeah. Well, we've been keeping everybody on here for a little over an hour and a half now.
Yeah.
Was there anything else you want to talk about this evening?
Nope. Just don't forget my alpha. I already did. I shot low and I forgot it. Oh no, was it don't cast to the other side of the river?
Yeah.
Yep, that's my alpha for tonight.
So I mean, I got to give one too, or are you just our guest for the evening?
No, you have to give. No, it's I gotta hear some inspiring words. I need to learn something tonight.
I guess going on that topic, I guess never stop learning. Go spend if there's something you're interested in, go spend 50 to 100 hours just trying to do some research into it, and never stop learning because that's the way you keep pushing yourself. Is learning something new all the time.
Absolutely. Um, and yeah, and I will expand on that. I had one of our guests today canceled a trip, bought a boat. He's like, "Oh, I'm really sorry, Todd." I'm like, "Hey, this is a glorious day." I mean, that's I remember when I got my first one. It's a great day, and I don't want you to hire me because you have to. I want you to hire me because I'm fun to hang out with. Um, you got a boat, and I'm just as excited about it. And it's like I told him is, if you have any questions, if you're going somewhere and you have any questions, you can always give me a call. I want you to hire me because you want to, not like I said, not because you have to. And had about a 40-minute conversation with him, just enjoying his new boat. He was sitting in it. I mean, it just was awesome, and it makes me feel good to see people progress in it to where I mean, that's of course that's how I pay my bills, is by people being in the boat. But I don't get too upset when they surpass what I've taught them, and they go off on their own, and they'll be back.
Yeah,
It'll just be a little bit of time.
yeah. That's
So
been my best experiences of the clients that come in, learn a lot from you, and then you see them
yeah,
out there doing it on their own, and then taking it to different areas as well. The skills that they developed. So yeah, it's always
right.
fun to watch people develop and learn
Yeah,
and
they don't
keep
live.
expanding.
Yep, they don't live down here. They'll be spending their time on the rivers up north. Um, and so, um, yeah, I mean, just a little bit of knowledge, a little bit of know-how.
Yep.
So,
All right, guys.
but yeah, okay, bud.
Yeah, well, thank you everybody for tuning in tonight. Now that Todd's back into civilization, we're gonna do these every Monday night, as long as he doesn't leave me again and go missing up in the woods. Um, as you've seen, we both love to just teach people. We love to talk about fishing, outdoors, whatever. So come jump in the Discord with us if you got questions, anything you want to learn about, anything you just want to chat about. We're always down to and open to talk. And then other than that, yeah, go get yourself an NFT and come into the private chat and let's have some fun over the next year.
Yep.
All right, guys. Well, thank you, everybody.
Okay.